Coming up on today's episode of DLLS Mavs, what's your boldest prediction for this upcoming season? Plus, we dial up the Stein line as Marc Stein drops his news and notes on your Dallas Mavericks. Here we go. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks insider Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Carella. We are DLLS Mavs. You can find me on X at Kevin Gray Sports, at Tim_Cato, at Bobby Carella. Your favorite guys covering your favorite team every single day. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports.
We've
here
got
on
naked
YouTube.
Coworkers over there.
What's happening?
I don't really know.
Are they
I
making?
don't really know.
Look.
There's a lot of
slightly
shirts
off
off.
camera.
Oh my God!
Hey Tanner, can we move one of these cameras
let's
around?
not move the camera because I do not want to see Jesse with his shirt off. I do not want to see that. That visual's now
I guess the
stuck in my
Cowboys
head
crew is really
for the
fired
rest
up
of the
for
weekend.
Sunday.
I
Thanks
worked
a
out
lot.
today too.
Oh,
Yeah.
We're off to a great start already here. We promised we were going to do better today here on DLLS Mavs. The Cowboys show not
We're
making
doing
it
better.
very
Cowboys
easy
show
for us.
is you guys are just be thankful that you don't have the panorama view in this.
No panoramic view
Yeah.
here on today's episode.
There was a lot of exposed chests for the podcast listeners. Trust me, there was nothing that you're missing out on.
My favorite part of
Nothing
this whole
shown on
conversation
video.
right now is Bobby is focused on the camera. He has not moved. He has not said anything. He is dead set and focused on today's show. Bobby, what's up, man? You all right? You
I'm
good?
I'm locked in and I'm ready to talk sports, and nothing in the world will distract me from that incredible opportunity that we share here on DLLS Mavs.
Not even a Sports Personality of the Day award would deter
Well, it's
you
a new
today?
day. It's a new dawn. It's
The
a new
Tim
life.
Cato DLLS talent of the day.
Now you're
Present-
changing the name of it.
Well, that's what it is. Again, it's named after me, just like the Larry O'Brien.
Oh, got it. The
Yeah.
Tim Cato Sports Personality of the Day award.
Oh,
Oh,
my
wow.
God.
Shout out to Tanner, DLLS Sports Personality of the Day, all-time wins. Tim Cato 1, Bobby 0, me 0, Marc Stein 0.
Wow.
So if you're still listening on podcast, you are missing out on this incredible graphic.
yes, that means you need to like, comment, and subscribe and watch on DLLS Sports on YouTube. That's the fastest way you can help us grow here on our show. A lot to get to on today's episode, including Marc Stein. We got to dial up the Stein line with his news and notes on the Mavericks as we're less than 2 weeks away from training camp. Your boldest predictions for this upcoming season. Plus, we go around the Mavs as we got some things to talk about. Kyrie Irving making some news as he's making his rounds in China, of course, with his fans and the shoe that he has coming out as well. But as we jump into today's show, gentlemen, we get off with our lead topic for today's show. After an incredible offseason for the Dallas Mavericks, coming off a win, going to the NBA Finals, now they have an opportunity to defend that Western Conference crown. If you could summarize this offseason in one word, what would that word be and why, Tim Cato?
Toasty.
Toasty. That would describe the summer around here in Dallas, for
Okay,
sure.
that's true. That's true. Bobby, what's yours?
Mine is affirming. Or,
Interesting.
or
Ooh,
validating.
affirming,
I guess
okay.
one of those two words.
Well, that's 2 words.
All right. Well, I would say affirming. So here's
I like
why.
affirming better than validating.
Yeah, here's why. So, kind of the whole point of bringing on Nico Harrison as the team's GM and president of basketball operations, whatever his title is this guy is a relationship guy, right? Like, he knows the players, he's known them forever, and Jason Kidd is also the same guy as a guy that used to play in the NBA very recently. Like, these guys understand NBA superstars, and the Mavs have tried and failed forever to bring in NBA superstars. So a year ago, he gets Kyrie Irving. This summer, he goes out and gets Klay Thompson.
Mhm.
So it was very affirming and validating of like this perception that we have of Nico as the relationship guy, and then also affirming of the Mavericks as like a legitimate organization, a destination for superstars, a legitimate team in the Western Conference and in the landscape of the new NBA. So I would say affirming for those reasons. And also, special shout out to Mavs Twitter's new villain, or I guess like old, new again, familiar foe, Spencer Dinwiddie.
Okay.
It was affirming that he came back to Dallas after taking a little detour with the Lakers in between.
I guess mommy was right this time around.
Yeah, and so it just kind of like, it just sort of, I think as fans, and as observers up close, you watched the team go to the finals last year and thought, okay, like this is a pretty serious team. If only other players thought that way too. Turns out they do. So it was very affirming.
For some in the chat, we've got magical, blessings, fulfilling, some of the words. Aura is another one that's coming up as well, as far as how they would summarize the offseason in one word. Tim Cato, how would you summarize the offseason for the Mavericks?
I consider proactive, but I'm not going to do the thing that Bobby just did where I named 2 words. So pretend I didn't say proactive, because I'm going to say purposeful.
Okay.
Or maybe actually I'm going to replace that. I didn't say purposeful either. My one word is deliberate. How do we feel about that?
Deliberate. Okay.
Do you see where I'm going with that?
I see the intentionality of what you're trying to do here.
Intentionality also could have been intentionality, deliberatality.
You're making up words on the fly. I think he's trying real hard to win the Sports Personality Award again.
Which just sounds like liberalism. But anyway, so Dallas went to the finals and they couldn't hit threes, and they said, we're going to go get 3-point shooters. They got to the playoffs and Luka was once again worn out, and they said, we're going to go get players who can create offense on their own. A little bit more. Still going to be Luka's show. But it was very, very deliberate about seeing what weaknesses Dallas had last season and fixing them and finding ways to fix them. And in the process, we're going to find out if Dallas created some other ones that they're going to have to fix. If throughout the process, there is a possibility. And I think all 3 of us are optimistic. We think the team got better. But there is a possibility Dallas went out and overreacted a little bit much to the finals, where if you put Klay Thompson in Derrick Jones's place, does Dallas beat Oklahoma City? Do they beat Minnesota? Maybe. Maybe not. I tend to think.
We'll find out in 6 months.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out, and that's the big question.
Yeah, what you don't want it to do is be like an overreaction, an overcorrection.
Yeah, right. And I don't think they did that. But that if there is a question about the offseason, that's kind of where it falls. But I would much rather a team say these were the flaws that we had, and we're going to fix them, and then we're going to fix the flaws that arise from that if we need to, than just say, well, we lost because we couldn't shoot against Boston, but look how good we looked against all the other teams, so we're fine. Bring back the same squad. I think that speaks well and speaks to the deliberalism.
There's been a big
that the Dallas offseason had.
There's been a big shift of the last couple offseasons. Like think back to 2022. Hey, we'd love to keep Jalen Brunson. That would be tight, and then you lost him.
Yeah.
And then you traded a first-round pick for Christian Wood, kind of for some reason. It felt like they're sort of like chasing, right? It felt like they're kind of chasing, like, I don't know, let's just see
let's throw some stuff at the wall, see how it works out. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the following offseason, they traded a little much to get Grant Williams in here, but they weren't committing to that bit. It didn't work out. They said, all right, let's pivot.
And that, to me, right there, real quick, is why I like how the organization has been moving under Nico Harrison, because they have been willing to move on from things that haven't worked and not just let's stick with it and try to continue to figure it out. No, if they don't think it works, go ahead and move on and try to figure out the best way to move the organization forward in that way.
Yeah, and they brought in Christian Wood. Wood gets off to this big start in 2022, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to give him an extension. We're just not going to. It got fans riled up. It got Wood riled up. Pretty cryptic post coming from him, but clearly it was the right decision.
Yeah.
They identified Derek Lively, they got him. They identified Omax, they got him. Even if they're wrong or right on these guys, they at least have a plan and you can see it playing out.
This is a word with a negative connotation, and I actually don't mean it as such, but this is front office, Nico Harrison, the decisions they make, they've been impatient. And I think they've been patient in a way that is justified. Don't be patient with mistakes, with a team that isn't good enough, with players that don't fit.
You have a superstar that won't allow you to be patient with some of the moves that you have to try to make.
You sign JaVale as a starter, it's not working, bench him.
Exactly. Grant Williams, clearly, it didn't mesh. There was times down the stretch of the season where Grant Williams coming off the bench would have been useful to this team. Now, not at the expense of the moves they made, but there's no scenario where Dallas can say, well, we still kind of like what Grant could potentially provide. No, just move on, go get the better piece. and also that usefulness was really just because nobody could shoot.
No.
I don't think that clearly he was not the right fit for this team.
The word I'll use is transformative, and the reason why I'll choose that word is because you look at the perception of the Mavericks over the years, not a quote-unquote free agent destination, not a place where free agents necessarily want to be to try to win a championship. And now you have a 4-time NBA champion who has decided that this is the place where he feels like at this second act of his career, he can come and win a championship. And you don't have that conversation with that type of player and superstar unless you made the NBA Finals and you have a superstar in Luka Doncic and another one in Kyrie Irving who have changed the trajectory and the vision of this franchise and how they're viewed around the NBA. And now Klay Thompson feels like that vision that's being put forward by the organization is something that he wants to be a part of. So I think it's a transformative moment for this organization to be able to bring in someone of that stature to be able to try and help this team get over the hump and win a championship. And I think that bodes well for not just the future of this current team, but also for years to come about how other players will feel about coming or potentially coming to join Luka Doncic in this organization.
Rebirth.
Yeah.
Or that's not even quite right. Maybe maturation.
I don't know.
Something
in
that vein, or just like this is a different franchise than what it was.
That comes with a lot of risk, though. They are assuming a lot of risk by doing this. 2 of their best players now are Kyrie, who came in the NBA in 2011, Klay, who came in the NBA, I think that same year, right? Or was it the year maybe before? I don't remember.
Different ages.
Yeah,
so
2 of their 3 essentially highest paid or most important players, whatever, are on the other side of 30.
Mm-hmm.
There's a chance that the fit is kind of weird. You're about to have to decide what to do with Kyrie. So, you feel like you're solving a lot of your problems and sort of like resurrecting or redefining your image within the league and sort of like your stature and status as a destination franchise. But it might, it's not guaranteed to work great.
I mean, but honestly, that's the beauty of sports is that sometimes you've got to take some of these risks to be able to put yourself in position to win a championship or at least be in a spot where you can conceivably move forward as an organization that's viewed in championship contention for years. Because even if the Klay move doesn't necessarily work out, what it does show is that there are players that are willing to come here to try and figure that out with Luka Doncic. And he's still with him only being 25 years old. You've got a young nucleus with Derek Lively only being 20 as well. You can see in the future how this team could be remaining in the top of the West for years to come. And maybe other players who feel like that's, this is a place where they can help do that here.
Andrew Cos says evolutionary, transformative.
What about revolutionary?
Revolutionary. Ardell says Autobots roll out. He was saying that in reply to transformative.
Oh, okay.
So
for evolutionary.
Pretty funny joke. Ben says $20. That's coffee in Cato's cup. It's the tears of my enemy.
Oh, okay.
So close.
Good call.
Close.
Who's your enemy?
Wouldn't you like to know?
The doubters?
The haters.
The
naysayers.
Are you trying to sow discord on this show, Tanner? What are you doing?
Yeah, Tanner, you're my enemy now. Yeah.
No, we don't want Tanner to be the enemy.
Yeah,
because he's got to keep us looking good and sounding good here. So
what's wrong with you, dude?
No.
Yeah,
don't fight with Tanner. Stop fighting with Tanner.
This is exactly why I just don't like you.
Oh my gosh.
I'm kidding, Tanner. I love Tanner.
Jeez.
Tanner's my best friend.
Throw more of those words in the chat as far as what you feel like the Mavericks offseason has been, if you're going to summarize it in one word, because this team had a chance to make good and making the NBA Finals last year. They're hopefully looking to do it this upcoming season as well. Coming up here in just a moment. Bye, Cat. Coming up here in just a moment, we will go around the Mavs, the latest news and notes on your Mavericks. And coming up at 12:45, we will dial up the Stein line with our guy Marc Stein as he has his news and notes on your Mavericks as well. But before we get there, let me talk to you about Sleeper. The Cowboys taking on the Ravens this upcoming weekend at AT&T Stadium. The Cowboys looking to avoid going 1-2 while the Ravens are looking for their first win themselves. I need to tell you about Sleeper. I got some ball knowers on set with me that but also you're a ball knower as well. And I know that because you got the Sleeper app, known for hosting the best fantasy football leagues in the game, and allows you to put your knowledge to the test in every game by picking whether your favorite or least favorite players will have more or less than their projected stats each week. This week, I'm taking Dak Prescott to have more than 200 passing yards. I'm taking CeeDee Lamb to have more than 50 receiving yards to help the Cowboys get that win against Baltimore. With Sleeper, the more picks you combine, the more you can win, all the way up to 100 times your money. If you think you have what it takes, and I know you do, Download the Sleeper app and use the code DLLS Mavs to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions do apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in 25 states. Check out Sleeper today.
If you're still searching for a great candidate for your company, perhaps I can't do defensive coordinator. Already did that one. Maybe you're searching for a new manager as your fantasy team. I'm not. I'm first place in my league. But let's say you are. Don't search for one. Just match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with your candidates faster. Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. In the minute that I've been talking, 23 hires have been made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. 23, and this is Act Minute. So let me tell you, if you're looking to hire, listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Appreciate you, Tim. Coming up here in 14 minutes, we will dial up the Stein line here on DLLS Mavs. Marc Stein drops his news and notes on the Dallas Mavericks, less than 2 weeks away from training camp. But before we get there, got to go around the Mavs. The Mavericks making their rounds around the world, literally, as we've seen them get there through their offseason as they get ready for training camp here in the next couple of weeks. And gentlemen, particularly, I'm going to start with this because we were mentioning him a little bit earlier in terms of the way that the offseason has gone for the Mavericks. But Klay Thompson continues to be locked in this offseason. We've seen him playing in open runs. We've seen him playing with Kyrie Irving, even former Maverick Jalen Brunson. But also in New York City, Klay getting up shots. For folks who haven't seen the video online, Klay Thompson knocking down deep threes in an open gym at Summit in New York. Gentlemen, it feels like Klay Thompson is all in when it comes to the Mavericks this offseason. We've seen that throughout the year when it comes to him getting ready.
How do we truly know he's locked in? What if those are the only 3 shots he took? He went to the gym, recorded the video, and left right after that. What if he is doing a very elaborate ruse to make us think that he's locked in?
Well, he's doing a damn good job of it.
That's performance art.
Yeah.
Great. Is that the only gym in New York?
It does seem like every NBA player works out at that gym.
Is it like written into their contract you have to work out there?
That's Brinkley's, right?
I believe
I have
so.
no idea.
Yeah, Chris Brinkley.
Yeah, I believe
it's him
so.
or
Brickley, isn't it? No.
Brickley. Thank you.
Yeah.
Come on DLLS and let us know.
There are other gyms. I've been to at least 3 other basketball gyms.
What a flex.
Oh, wow.
Those looked like really, really deep threes from Klay. And I don't remember him taking many deep threes with the Warriors.
Were those deep?
He looked several feet beyond the 3-point line.
I was just looking at how his legs were playing.
He was, because normally it's very contained kind of motion,
Right.
But
well, I guess
those looked like at least 30-footers. And the Mavs they like doing that extra 3-point, like the imaginary 4-point line.
The 4-point line, the practice line.
Yeah, so I wonder if he'll expand it, which that's another way to open up space if he can shoot him from out there.
If he's knocking down 35-footers, on a semi-regular basis, this offense is going to be a lot of fun. It may lead to one of the bold predictions that we may have a little bit later on in the show as well, because it's my takeaway from seeing these and seeing all these videos that we've seen online with whether it's Klay or Kyrie Irving, which we'll look at here in just a moment. It feels like, at least specifically for Thompson, he is fully bought in and committed to this quote-unquote rebirth. I'll use the word that Tim used a little bit earlier in terms of what the second act of his career is going to be like here in Dallas. And I feel like the motivation for him is something that I think Mavericks fans have gotten a window into throughout the course of this offseason watching him so far.
That sums it up well and perfectly. And I just want to talk more about deep threes, which is to say, like, they really started. The person who really did that was naturally D'Antoni with the Rockets. Having Ryan Anderson and Eric Gordon both spacing from 30 feet, that was so revolutionary. Maybe not. Revolutionary isn't quite right, because it's not that nobody has thought of this idea before, but D'Antoni just realized, hey, I have shooters who can do this.
It is revolutionary, though, because the difference between a contested and uncontested 3 is like 5 or 6 percentage points.
Yeah.
If you can make them standing still at 40% wide open from 30 feet, I can't leave you open from 30 feet.
Exactly.
I have to get out there. And if I'm 29 feet away from the rim as opposed to 25 feet away from the rim, all of a sudden you're getting a layup now. So it is totally revolutionary. And we know Luka can chuck him from deep too. So
yes,
like the range, like the Mavs' range collectively is very, very deep.
If I could give myself one NBA skill, one basketball skill, it doesn't have to be NBA level, it would be shooting deep threes. Like, I don't need to be a guy who can run off a screen and like, I don't care about being better at just shooting actual threes. I just wish I could
parking lot range.
I just wish that I could really confidently go to 30 feet away and be just. Like,
Tim
make
wants to
three in a
step
row.
onto the gym floor and know you got to go out there and guard him because
I've
knock
made
down
3 in a
threes.
row from 30 feet. But
there
it's
video evidence
not
of this?
consistent. It
Jeez,
is not
man,
a
just
consistent shot for me.
all over.
I need
us.
video evidence of you knocking down 30-foot threes because I would love to see that.
Let's go to the gym after. What are you doing this afternoon?
I'm going to sleep actually. Gonna take a nap.
Okay,
You can do that.
Okay, well, we'll find one day that we can all go to the YMCA, record an
And
episode
watch you
there.
shoot threes.
Yeah.
I think that's a great.
Okay,
bit.
what else do we have to talk about?
I want to talk about more you shooting threes, but we'll do that at some point. Also, speaking of training camp, less than 2 weeks away. This interesting note coming from Brad Townsend of the Dallas Morning News, talking about the decision of the Mavericks deciding to go to Las Vegas when it comes to training camp, saying, quote, last year's trip, he's talking about the trip that the Mavericks made to Abu Dhabi. Last year's trip proved to be so positive for team bonding that Mavericks general manager Nico Harrison and Jason Kidd decided that Las Vegas would offer similar bonding with less road wear and tear, end quote. So an interesting note coming from Brad Townsend on the Mavericks' decision to take training camp to Las Vegas based off of what they experienced last year in the team bonding that they did this time, staying within the States to do so. Bobby, your reaction to some of that?
Well, can I interrupt real quick?
Oh, yeah.
The one thing that I will push back on, not that Brad did anything wrong, I would say they had a lot of team bonding once they got to Madrid. I did not hear as much about the Abu Dhabi portion of that trip, which was just very chaotic. But absolutely, I got a lot of people talked about how that Madrid part specifically, brought together a kind of chaotic start to that trip, and everybody was just all of a sudden, really opening up and just a really positive experience.
Yeah,
take
I
that,
mean
Brad
collectively in terms of the trip.
Well,
I
I'm not even.
apologize.
Yeah, Brad's just reporting. That's
No, take that, Brad.
Okay, I did
Look
not
what you
mean
did,
it like
Brad.
that. I'm just trying to be
Fake
as
news,
accurate
Brad.
and deliberate as possible about.
Oh, there's that word again, deliberate. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. I don't know. It makes me uncomfortable talking about bonding because it sounds like we're like parents talking about a kid's play date. We are going to set up bonding time. But yeah, I mean,
That's not where I thought you were taking that, and I'm
Same,
glad.
same.
oh yeah, no.
Okay.
Says the guy with no
Okay.
kids as well. Like,
Okay.
what?
I was
like-
a little worried when you started
I was
that.
like,
Like,
what is
none of
really-
us knows what actually happens over there, but yeah, I mean, there's certainly something different to going out to dinner every night and eating all your meals together, as opposed to if you're doing training camp at home, you're going to the gym and then you're going home and then you're just like living your life and then you're coming back to work the next day. I don't know. I mean, maybe that could be good. It feels like most of these guys already know each other pretty well.
They did the Los Angeles trip as well.
Yeah,
earlier
I've
this
been out to
summer.
LA,
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see. I don't think they're incorporating necessarily as many new people into the starting lineup as they might have last year, but they're certainly incorporating a lot of players off the bench. So there's a general high amount of newness around here.
Yeah. I like the idea of them being, in the used word that Tim used earlier, intentional about ensuring that the chemistry of this team continues to build. We mentioned a little bit earlier about the trip that they had to Los Angeles, all of them playing together, most of them playing together, now doing so in an environment outside of Dallas as well. It feels like the organization is saying, look, we want to make sure that based off of what we achieved last year, the chemistry and the trust and all these buzzwords that Jason Kidd likes to use continues to grow and flourish even in an environment outside of our normal circumstances in Dallas. So I think I like the fact that they're intentionally going on this trip and doing so in that
I think
way.
it's also a big marketing play for the people that own the team. So
There's also some of
about
that.
to say that.
yeah,
It's-
I mean,
it's nice.
let's keep it a buck here.
Yeah.
It's nice that the new ownership group, which is interested in getting the team out to Vegas, made sure that it made sense on a basketball level.
Could it
And
mean
I think
the
that's
Mavs
where
are
it comes
going to
from.
relocate to
Don't
Vegas soon?
do that, Bobby.
Dun, dun, dun.
Marc Stein has already dispelled that rumor, literally sitting right next to you.
Oh, I forgot.
We should start it again though.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah,
Just
They're-
for,
We
they're-
should hatch a plot.
they're
to
actually
get the team to
No, we should just hatch a plot to see what comes.
What
see
if
Oh,
what
okay.
if they are moving, but it's like to Reno?
That would
Ooh,
be
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Carson City.
terrible.
Carson
no,
City.
wrong.
My
no.
mom was born in Carson
You
City.
need the entertainment
that?
capital, not the
Or
state
maybe
capital.
Good job, Bobby.
Hendrickson.
Good job.
I
Your
might have got that
geographic
wrong.
lesson today here on DLLS Mavs.
Actually, no, she was born in Hendrickson. I lied.
Speaking of geography, Kyrie Irving's on the other side of the world right now in China as he continues to promote his shoe and also spend time with his fans over in China. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can obviously see Kyrie Irving having
Henderson,
some
not
fantastic
Hendrickson.
interaction with some of his fans, playing some basketball as well, signing jerseys. Here's the thing about if you're not watching this video and you're just listening to it on the podcast, there are people literally throwing shoes, posters, jerseys at Kyrie Irving for him to sign. He is just signing them one by one as he continues to interact with his fans there. First of all, I could not keep up with all the things that they were throwing at him just for him to sign. But the fact that he did it, good for him. And shout out to Kyrie Irving for hanging out with his fans. And also, him also playing some basketball as well, which is interesting because he had hand surgery earlier this summer. And you can see him, if you're watching this on YouTube as well, playing some basketball with some fans based off of what he's been getting ready to do for training camp. But for those who are listening, you can see or listen and watch Kyrie Irving be able to have some fun with some of his fans and get ready for training camp there.
I don't think there's a more popular player in the NBA that is. If you're more popular than him, then you have made multiple first-team All-NBAs.
I just don't know why he's dribbling to the corner against a double team. That's basketball.
Of course,
101.
the analyst in you, Bobby,
You
would
should never
point
do
that
that.
out.
Like that's turning a double team into quadruple team. Now he was able to sidestep out of it, so nicely done by Kyrie. But it does. I am a little worried about not his necessarily physical shape, but his basketball sensibilities heading into camp. If I'm going to see that on tape, I need him to clean it up.
So how would you clean up what Kyrie was doing in terms of what you saw?
You're bigger than those guys. Back them down. Don't dribble to the corner. Face up. Shoot over them. Come on, Kyrie.
Put a
Toughen
little
up.
man in the post is what you're saying?
He should do a bunch of jump passes.
No. No one to pass to. He should learn those little preteens a thing or two about life on the block down low. All right.
Interesting. Did Kyrie post up last year?
He has posted up.
He
a
has
few
posted
times,
up a couple
He's
times.
got a little back.
Wasn't
to
there
the
like a
basket
whole
there.
thing on Kyrie post-ups, if I
much,
remember
though.
correctly? I can't
Yeah.
remember who got. I think there was
How
some
many
criticism of him
post-ups do we
not doing
have?
it or something of that nature.
I don't know.
can't
I mean,
remember.
he's got a really good turnaround jumper.
Yeah.
He does go to it. It's a lot of like mid post, not low post stuff.
That's true.
Yeah, it's mid post and it's more to get position. He usually reverts back to a face up before he actually shoots. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to back someone down just to get closer to the basket.
Yeah, it usually helps. Last thing before we get to the Stein line, I want to throw this up, Tanner, because there have been leaks of the Mavericks City Edition jerseys coming out there, and I want to get you guys' thoughts if you're watching this on YouTube. Your reaction to the all-white Trinity jersey. The last year was the Trinity Blue jerseys with the
Trinity River.
Trinity
Blues.
River. I'm sorry, yes, with the blue lettering and the black jersey. This year, it looks like it's going to be in white with the silver pattern around it as well. Are we liking the jerseys? And if you've seen it online, you definitely know what I'm talking about if you're listening to it on the podcast as well.
I can just rattle off like 5 very quick takes. Do you
Go.
have thoughts?
I mean, they look elegant. I don't know. I have a really hard time dealing with jersey leaks because they usually look like crap, and the real jerseys look way better.
That's my first
And as someone
take.
that worked for the company, it's really annoying whenever the jerseys leak.
That's my first take. The leaks always look worse. I still don't love the city edition idea. You know, or just the concept, like the entire concept of the city jerseys.
Okay.
There's just so many. You know, like it feels like you're just using, like you're running out of creative ideas. I thought that most of the leaks, most of the jerseys look better than the leaks because this happens year over year. But I bet just looking through the jerseys, not a lot of them looked very good. There was like maybe 4 good ones. Toronto's
I was about to
really
say
fun.
Toronto was the one that
that
I
one
liked
was
the
pretty
most.
sick.
Yes.
Yeah, doing the Vince dunk.
Yeah,
the
there's-
first time Kyrie pulls off some sick dribble move and nice finish around the rim in that jersey, the Phantom Cam footage is going to be amazing. It's going to look
Exactly.
awesome. Just deal with it. They always end up looking fine. I know people have edgy takes about the graffiti ones, but I mean, for the most part, the Mav City Edition jerseys have been really good the last few years. I've heard, whatever. The things that are coming in the future are very cool. That's what I can say.
I want to see the
Oh.
detailing on this one. It looks a little plain from the leak. I bet it has more details, kind of on the down the side and stuff like that. I bet it's going to look good on the court. So, yeah, I'm in for it. I always like
Yeah, like those jerseys and the staple and not staple, whatever it's called now, with the like dimly lit crowd and it's only bright on the court. The
all
light's
kinda
going to
like
be
the
bouncing
Showtime
off
theater.
the silver. It's going
Yeah.
to catch a lot of that. It's going to
Yeah.
be glistening.
It's
They'll look nice.
it's hard to go wrong with just a very elegant, clean white jersey. That's always been a favorite of mine. I know some people are going to criticize this one as saying it looks too much like a training jersey, a practice jersey. I think this will be well done enough. I think this will be one of the better City Edition jerseys in the NBA. So
when Dwight Powell bleeds, it'll really pop on those jerseys.
Luka
Probably
too. Luka's a big bleeder, man. We got to get that under control.
That is true. And Dwight, his specialty is getting hit in the face. That's his particular specialty. But coming up here in just a moment, we will dial up the Stein line. Marc Stein with his news and notes.
wait, real quick. Kyrie Irving did a post up once every 5 games.
Once every 5 games he posted up?
In the last regular season, 0.2 per game. Okay,
that is
moving
the
on.
hard-hitting analysis that you will get here on DLLS Mavs. And you can become a diehard member here at DLLS Sports by going to alldlls.com/diehard, where you can become a diehard member today. 20% off events, dope merchandise, member-only Discord as well, premium content from all of your favorite writers, whether it be the Cowboys, Mavericks, Stars, Rangers. You get a lot of amazing stuff, including you can see Bobby's new piece today talking about which Mavericks are Pokemon.
Did someone say Pokemon?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Make sure you check that all out at alldlls.com/diehard. You can also get a physical diehard card as well when you become a diehard member here at DLLS Sports. Isn't that right, Bobby?
I do want to add the Pokemon article is free. You don't have to be a diehard to read that one, but consider this.
Do you have to know about Pokemon?
If we're offering top-notch, top-tier Mavericks and competitive Pokemon analysis to you for free, just imagine what's behind the paywall, okay? Just imagine how much is possible behind the paywall.
That's a good
all I have
point.
to add.
That's all.
Glizcore.
Yeah.
There's a lot of terrific
Gliscor,
stuff at
or
alldlls.com.
Corviknight.
Become a diehard today. While Tim
Zamazinta.
continues to read off the Pokemon Mavericks comparisons, let's dial up the Stein line here on DLLS Mavs. Our guy Marc Stein,
Torkoal.
National and Mavericks
Torkoal,
NBA
good
Insider, has
Pokemon.
got his latest news and notes on your Mavericks. What's up, Marc? What are you expecting from the Mavericks in training camp as they get ready for this new season, a season that was really successful for them last year, and now the expectations, the bullseye squarely on this team this upcoming year?
Yeah, media day on September 30th, and then the Mavs fly that afternoon, right after media day. They're like on a flight to Vegas. From what I'm told, there will definitely be some level of two-a-day practices in Vegas, because, I mean, I think it's going to be a pretty intense camp, because, again, this is probably something we should get into when I'm in studio and we can get into it as a collective of 4 so we can really argue about this. But this might be the deepest Mavericks roster we've ever seen. And it's worth, let's compare it to 2011. Let's compare it to some of the rosters in the 1980s, Glory's days. But this team, there are so, all these guys are going to be vying for minutes. And so, camp is where that begins to get sorted out. And we talked about this on yesterday's show. My interest, a big source of my interest, is what's going to happen in that backcourt when beyond Luka, beyond Kyrie, you have 4 very accomplished NBA players: Spencer Dinwiddie, Quentin Grimes, Dante Exum, Jaden Hardy. All 4 of those guys want minutes too. What's going to happen? How is that going to shake out? What's going to happen, at center? How are those minutes going to play out with Lively and Gafford? There's a lot of stuff to figure out at camp. So I think it's going to be a pretty intense camp. Again, there will be some level of two-a-days while the team is away in Vegas. And then, of course, we know that Patrick Dumont, who now serves as the Mavericks governor, their majority owner, Vegas is home turf for him. So, the Mavericks are, he'll be, I'm sure, he's the host. The Mavericks will be in his city. So this is going to be a very unique training camp. And, one that coming out, it's only been once before that this team came off of finals as the losing team in the NBA finals. So that in itself makes it a pretty unique training camp for a team that's been around for more than 40 years. So there's there's going to be a lot for us to discuss, dissect, argue about, and correct Cato on.
For sure. Cato won't necessarily appreciate that, but I'm sure he'll take
Oh,
the
he's
joke.
fine. He's fine. He knows it's just playful banter.
Of course, during the offseason, Mark, you know as well as anyone, sometimes we starve for content, and there are things that are out there in terms of rankings and power rankings, some of which you do yourself, obviously, but you do very, very well. I will throw that caveat in there. Do very, very well. But we also see other things like coaching rankings and player rankings. And one that particularly got Mavericks fans riled up a little bit, CBS Sports recently put out their rankings of the 30 NBA head coaches. And, of course, the Mavericks head coach, Jason Kidd, fell at 18th on that particular list, which drew the ire of a lot of Mavericks fans who were like, hey, man, this guy just took the Mavericks to the NBA Finals and has been to at least the Western Conference Finals 2 out of his first 3 seasons. He should get a little bit more respect than the 18th, best head coach in the league. What is your reaction to seeing not only that particular ranking, but some of the conversation around it since then?
I would say I think it's probably a good thing for me that I have several thousand miles of distance right now. And I haven't had to spend a lot of time thinking about it or dissecting it. Again, like you said, it's off-season content. It's designed to get people whipped into a frenzy. But 18th, I mean, that's nonsensical, honestly. And look, I think it's symptomatic of this age where everyone thinks coaching is easy and everyone thinks they can do it. And also, to me, we obviously, an NBA season is 82 games long. But even when you factor in those 82 games, so little of what a coach really does is publicly accessible. And so I think opinions are formed based on, I don't know what is the slice of how much of what an NBA coach actually does do we really get to see? Is it 25%? Is it 35%? I mean, I'm not smart enough. I was giving you some hard time about math earlier. I'm definitely not smart enough to know exactly what that percentage is, but I mean, that suggestion is just crazy to me. I mean, Jason Kidd has had 2 50-win seasons in his 3 seasons on the Mavericks bench. He's taken this team, as you said, to the conference finals twice, to the NBA finals once. But beyond that, the way he connected with Kyrie Irving last season. Kyrie Irving himself will constantly say that Jason Kidd has been a huge factor in his ability to produce at the level he has here in Dallas. How long is the list of coaches who could connect with Kyrie Irving in that way? Does it go 3 deep? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a very short list. And so just on that basis alone, to me, that puts you in the top 10. But I mean, Jason Kidd has done a tremendous, obviously the middle season was awful, and he has to take the representative share of blame for how bad the middle season was. But in Kidd's first year, a team with basically the same players on the roster that he inherited, they were a top 10 defense. And nobody envisioned a top 10 defense with that group of players that made a Cinderella run to the conference finals, end up losing to Golden State. And last season's team, after the trade deadline, the way they put it all together, I mean, again, how many know-it-alls like me, and I'm one of them, who said Luka and Kyrie, it's an ill-fitting partnership. The Mavericks shouldn't have gone that direction. It's not going to work. You don't want to build around 2 guards in the NBA. You want your 2 best players. You want someone like Luka and a wing, or someone like Luka and a big, not Luka and a smaller guard. Well, Jason Kidd has had a role in making that work. And I don't know how anyone can discount that.
For sure. But regardless, Kidd has done a lot to disprove those who feel like he wasn't the right fit for this job and has done so to the tune of having a team that is going to be competing, it appears, for a championship for several years to come as this team remains together. Speaking of, a team that's got a lot of expectations on, a team in the Mavericks, of course, coming off an NBA Finals appearance, obviously losing to the Boston Celtics in 5 games. A lot of folks are drawing parallels to the 2016 that lost to the Miami Heat. Yes, I know, Mavericks fans, we got to talk about it for just a second here. I know how much it pains you to talk about that loss to the Miami Heat in that 06 final. But the following year, the Mavericks went 67-15. Dirk Nowitzki won, the NBA's MVP. And yes, we know how that season ended in the loss to the We Believe Warriors during that first round series there. But you having covered those teams and understanding the organization, Dirk at that time as well, what parallels, if any, can we draw and experiences that this version of the Mavericks, who lost in the finals to the Celtics and now get ready to gear up for another run, can draw from that team, whether it be Luka Doncic or the way the organization approaches a year like this, knowing what they just were not able to achieve in winning the NBA Finals, but still have a very, very good team that has a chance to get back to somewhat of that success there?
I struggle to make the comparison just because, man, 2006 was so devastating and such an absolute crusher. And then 06-07 was an even weirder season because they started 0-4. They go 67-15. So it looked like that they really had taken the next step. And at 67-15, is this the best Mavs team ever? And then the way they crashed out of the first round, Dirk wins MVP, ends up going on his Australian, escape with Holger Geschwindner after, he didn't even want the MVP because the playoffs were so painful. Like, those 2 seasons back to back were just so, like, there was a feeling of, is this team ever going to win it all? Like, have they blown their best chance? Whereas the Mavericks, last season, they got through the West. The finals weren't close. It wasn't, you would never compare the 2024 NBA Finals to the 06 Finals because they just weren't close enough. And so I think the Mavericks emerged from these past finals saying, we've taken a major step, but we're still on the way up. Luka Doncic is only going to get better. Derek Lively, for sure, is only going to get better. So it just seemed to me that even if the Mavericks didn't improve the roster, it's a team that had runway in front of it to take another step. And then they did have a good offseason and did find a way to bring in Klay Thompson and Grimes and Najee Marshall and find a way to strengthen this roster on the edges. So the sense I get when I talk to people in the organization, I do think there's a pretty strong feeling of optimism that they do have a chance to win the West again. They should be a 50-win team again. And it really just, in the West, all you can do really in the West is, do we have a chance? Because just getting out of the West, it's almost like a championship in itself.
Mark, as always, my man, I appreciate you stopping down with us here on DLLS Mavs. And look, we'll give regards to Cato. Cato's sitting right next to me. We'll give regards to Cato that you miss him too. And
Tim Cato, I will see you soon. Don't despair. All will be well. Don't worry, young man. Don't worry.
Marc Stein, that sounded like a threat.
That did. It sounded very ominous.
I will see you soon. Tim
Legal
Cato.
name, I will see you
You know what, Mark?
soon.
I hope you're listening to this. I'll see you soon.
Wow.
I'm here. You know where I am.
I do want to.
All
I
the
have
tension. My goodness.
I have a nit to pick.
Oh, pick that
pick
nit,
to net.
Bobby.
So I'm not necessarily saying that there's anything in common between the 06 finals and the 24 finals, but coming out of that series, the 06 Mavs had plenty of reason to believe that they were the best team in the NBA, that they were the rightful champion, that they did have another level they could get to. And they went out the next season and they proved it to everybody until they blew it in the first round. But Dirk, prime of his career. Jason Terry, prime of his career. Josh Howard, just getting started. Devin Harris, even more just getting started. The Mavs had a bright future, and they had much less competition in the West. It was really only the Spurs and the Suns at that time, and nobody else was any good in the West at all. And really, the league was pretty weak at the top in the East as well. I would say this year's Mav team, is maybe even older than the 06 Mavs. Kyrie is 31-32. Klay Thompson, 32-33. I would say that their window is maybe not as wide open as the 06 Mavs, because not only are some of their players older, some of their most important players, but the West is way better. The East is way better, and nothing is guaranteed. So, I don't need to be the one to like caution the Mavs, but be careful about your attitude, your approach to the season or whatever. But like, for the Mavs to say, yeah, we have unfinished business, like we need to go back and get the job done. Like, it's going to be tough just to make the top 6.
So Stein, you keep making jokes about me. It's Bobby who you need to come back.
Yeah,
and
Marc
correct.
Stein. I'll see you soon.
Like, yeah,
he's a
Bobby got something to talk about.
He's who you got beef with.
I think that the more interesting thing is the Mavs in 07 came out and said, we blew it, we know it, we're going to prove to you that we deserve it, and then they lost, right? This year's Mavs team, I think, has that similar sort of resolve. They didn't blow it, but they want to prove that they belong. They want to prove they're the best, still the best or whatever. It's going to be awfully hard to do that. So just beware of pitfalls, beware of landmines, beware of sinkholes, beware of Wemby and all that stuff along the way.
Yes,
good comment
of Wemby. That's a good warning. Shout out to Marc Stein. Appreciate him joining us here on DLLS Mavs. He'll be back with us next week here with his news and notes as we get that much closer to training camp for your Dallas Mavericks. Coming up here in just a moment, your boldest prediction for the Mavericks this upcoming season. We'll fire off ours here in just a moment. But before we get there, you got to become a diehard member here at DLLS Sports. Make sure you go to alldlls.com/diehard. You get 20% off events, member-only Discord. We've got pre-game shows, post-game shows, premium content, all at alldlls.com/diehard. Also, some incredible merchandise as well that you want to get your hands on, and you can only do that by becoming a member here at DLLS Sports by going to alldlls.com/diehard.
Can I tell you something, Kevin?
You can.
So I was in a meeting the other day, talking with some people that are a lot more powerful and smart than I am about potential tailgate party coming the Cowboys' way. Now, that's whether or not you're a diehard, but if you are a diehard, then you get a discount on those tailgate tickets, and that's going to include some food, some bev, some good times. It also gets you a discount on merch and discount on all the other things we're going to be doing. And that's not just limited to the Cowboys, folks. We're going to be having some Mavs parties, too. You get discounts on all that stuff whenever you sign up. So please do that. It would just be the most magnanimous thing you could do.
It will really help us out here at DLLS Sports. The best way you can also help us grow is to like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports here on YouTube. I see over 70 people watching. I need over 7 of you liking on this video. Hit that like button here on DLLS Mavs. Remember, all your Stars, Mavericks, Rangers, and Cowboys coverage all in one place here at DLLS Sports. Before we get out of here on this Friday, I want you to throw it in the chat right now if you're watching here on DLLS Sports. Your boldest prediction for the Mavericks this upcoming year. A lot of new changes for this team. Klay Thompson, Spencer Dinwiddie back with this team as well. What are some of your bold predictions for the Mavericks that may be rooted in some of the reality that you already know about this team, or something you just want to know that you feel like is going to happen this year for your upcoming Mavericks? Throw those in the chat right now as we discuss it here on our show. I think Bobby has one that he wants to fire off very quickly, but I'm going to tell Tim to do his first.
Wow.
Yep. You see what I did there?
Upstage.
That was a pump fake.
You see there?
Subverting
Pump
expectations.
You see that?
That's
You
like
see
a
how I
Game of
did that?
Thrones episode.
I wanna hear what the chat says. You guys pop in some predictions about the season that's coming up. I think I've said this one on the show before. We'll be throwing a lot of bold predictions out over the next 11 minutes. I think Dallas will make the most three-pointers in NBA history as a team this season.
Oh, they'll set the franchise record for made three-pointers.
And while doing that, they will also set the record for offensive rating, the most efficient offense in NBA history. But that one is a record that has been broken, let's see, in
It's like 5-6 years in a row, yeah.
2014, in 2015, in 2018, in 2020, in 2022, and I think last season as well. So it's got broken a lot. But I think Dallas now has the shooters. They've always been a team that shoots a lot of threes. They have led the NBA in three-point shooting before. Why not just hit even more of them? When you have the best three-point shot creator in the NBA, that's who I believe Luka is. In fact, that is who Luka's been since he's entered the league. No player has passed to a three-point make or a three-point miss more than Luka since its rookie season began. Do you guys know who number 2 on the list is? Would you like to guess? It's a superstar. It's a mega superstar, but it's not. It's a little surprising. Any guesses at the second most prolific three-point shot creator is?
Giannis?
Giannis.
Oh,
Nailed it.
wow. Let's go. Wow.
Yeah, I found that out.
I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I was actually like, I brought up that trivia to a few like NBA people who worked for other teams in Vegas, and it stumped people for a little bit. Everybody was thinking like LeBron or James Harden.
Ooh, you invoked LeBron's name. Good job.
Good job,
LeBron,
Tim. Good job.
LeBron. Anyway, most three-pointers in an NBA season ever in history. Bold. It's history.
Rooted in some reality,
But I don't
though.
think it's that. Yeah, I don't think it's that unlikely. So in terms of boldness, it's more the historic nature that's the bold part, not the fact that it's like exceptionally unlikely to happen.
Mine is a little bit of like it's going to sound like a doomer take at first, but you're just going to have to follow me. All right. So I'm looking at the early portion of the Mavs schedule. They got games at Phoenix, at Minnesota. They got the Pacers. They got the Suns again, at Denver. How about at Golden State, at OKC, at Denver again, at Miami.
Jeez.
The Mavs are going to wake up
Woo!
on Thanksgiving morning a bottom half and maybe even a bottom 10 defense in the NBA. That is my prediction. But by the end of the season and maybe even by New Year's Day, the Mavs will be top 12 and they will finish as a top 12 borderline, possibly top 10 defense in the league this year.
So they're probably top 10 from Christmas on.
Yeah, maybe even
to be
top
able to
5
do
from
that.
Christmas on.
Interesting.
And that kind of mirrors what they've done the first several years of the first 3 years of the kid era, with the exception of 22-23, because everything about that year sucked. But in 21-22 and 23-24, they're trying to figure things out. They're experimenting, they're poking, they're prodding, they're trying outfits and lineups and stuff, and it's just not really paying off. And then sometime around January or February, whether it's by trade or team meeting or whatever, boom, all of a sudden it clicks, everything falls into place, and they finish strong. So I know the theme of this whole deal is the offense is great, and I think everybody believes the offense is going to be great. But in order to win a title, you have to have a good offense and a good defense. I don't believe the Mavs will appear to be a good defense in the early part of the year because it's coming out of the gate with a tough schedule on the road, incorporating new pieces. But I think by the end of the year, it will be long since forgotten. I think, Kevin, we need to pay off the title of this video next.
And I'm going to, after I read a few of these in the chat, because there's some bold ones in here. I saw one say that Klay's going to shoot 45% from three this
That's
year.
pretty bold.
Another one said that Kyrie Irving is going to go all NBA and all defensive team this year.
All defense.
Kyrie?
Okay.
Yeah, that's
wow.
Lively. I'm sorry.
Lively.
It's my bad,
Okay.
Joe. Kyrie going all NBA and Derek Lively going all defense this year.
All
I
right,
like
that's
that.
That's a pretty bold
Well,
take.
if we're talking award stances, I believe Quentin Grimes will tend to finish top 5 in sixth-man voting.
Wow.
Oh,
How's that?
okay. That is
Wow.
very
Okay,
bold.
That is pretty bold.
I'm going to pay off, though, what we have
Just a guess.
for our show today, which is Luka Doncic will win the NBA's MVP this year. The narrative is set up for him to be able to go in as the favorite, coming off a finals appearance, had one of the most historic offensive seasons that we have ever seen in this league. He shot nearly 39% from three, most points, rebounds, and assists combined since the merger. He did everything and then some last year to set up what I think will be another historic year. I said previously on another show that I believe he'll average a full triple-double this year as well. That combined with the Mavericks finishing top 4 in the West, I believe him averaging a full triple-double this year. The narrative already built for him in place. I think he will win the NBA's MVP this year and in the Jokic, 3 in the last 4 years that he's won the NBA's MVP. In the big man dominance of the MVP, I think Luka Doncic wins that this year.
It ties back to what Tim was saying, too. If the Mavs really do set the record for offensive efficiency, and if they do set the record for threes, obviously Luka will have a huge hand in that. More than likely would either lead the league in scoring or assist or both, piloting the best offense of all time and all the
You had to say he'll
narratives
lead the
that
league in both points and assists. this
I
upcoming
believe
season.
that. I believe that's possible. Yeah. I mean, I believe that will happen, honestly, if he plays enough games to qualify and everything. So yeah, I think, if Tim's prediction comes true, then I think it's pretty obvious that Kevin yours would as well, unless the team just limps to a 5th place finish or something. But if they're really that good, if they're historically good on offense and just serviceable on defense, they're going to win 55 or something, and they will finish top 3 or top 2 even, and Luka wouldn't have a problem doing it.
This isn't quite a prediction, or your answer can be kind of a prediction. Who will have the 6th most starts out of every Mavericks player?
Dinwiddie.
Interesting. You think he's going to be a plug-and-play guy?
Or Gafford, I guess.
I was about to say Gafford was going to be my answer. Yeah.
Lively missed some time last year. He only played like 55 games, I think, last year.
Do you think any player will get more than 25 starts? I guess if Dinwiddie is a plug-and-play for every game that Luka and
Probably
Kyrie
he will,
misses.
yeah, probably.
Do you think is that your hunch? Is that where your head's at? You think? He's
unless they make some
play?
unforeseen trade. But yeah, I think every game that Luka or Kyrie miss, unless like Quentin Grimes is just shooting 57% from 3 or something, I think every time one of those guys miss a game, it will be Dinwiddie starting.
I think if Dinwiddie's not in the rotation, then that sounds, not in the completely healthy rotation. That kind of makes sense, because then you're leaving the bench where it was. I think vice versa, if Dinwiddie ends up winning minutes over Dante Exum, and then you have absences and you need both guards in there. I think whichever guard is not in the rotation, which we think is likeliest to be Dinwiddie, although again, just kind of depends on how the season plays out.
Man, I think Dinwiddie's going to play all the time.
Yeah, I think he's going to get a lot of minutes.
I'm coming around on it more and more. Just don't let the optics of him being the last player added on a minimum to the team. He's never, ever, ever been.
There's no optics with that.
Yeah.
Jones the one last year. He was starting small forward all year.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And wound up getting a nice.
He's never not been in a rotation
else,
his entire career, ever since he broke into a rotation.
Yeah, and I mean, at least like coming out of the gates, like, J-Kid and Rick aren't identical coaches, but J-Kid does have the thing of like, if I know you and I'm familiar with you and I trust you, then I'm going to give you the edge. Yeah.
And, his second game ever coaching the team, he played all 15 players on the roster.
I remember that game. That was wild.
Openly acknowledged doing a bit, which I was like, bravo.
He did openly acknowledge that, yes.
That's just amazing.
Yes.
It was an incredible night.
It's like, I am doing this, and this is what we're going to do.
It was like a blowout win against Memphis.
Imagine if it's like, okay, let's say they have a great season, right? And somehow they clinch the number 1 seed.
Don't you steal my next bold one.
So, okay, well.
No, go ahead. I want to see if it is the same one.
No, imagine if they do, and there's like 4 or 5 games left in the regular season, and they've already clinched number 1. Imagine the bits we'll get. Like, we will get the 5 center lineup. We will get the 5 guard lineup. Like, it's going to be awesome.
Derek Lively running the point. I want to see that.
Need it.
By the way, you kind of led me into the one that I was thinking about using as well. If the Mavericks finish top 4 in the West, win 55 games, set all these bazillions of records that Tim was talking about.
Oh, the coronation.
You know who's going to win Coach of the Year?
Doc Rivers. Oh, no.
Wait, what? No. That goes against your whole bit of the Bucks and everything else. No, Jason Kidd will win the NBA's Coach of the Year. I think if they win 55 games, finish top 4 in the West, Luka wins the MVP or finishes whatever, I think Jason Kidd will win Coach of the Year this year.
And then after that, he retires and becomes a podcaster.
Wait, what? No.
On the DLLS Mavericks podcast.
The reverse JJ Redick.
The reverse JJ Redick?
I think if...
what?
I mean... It's kind of a weird thing to even think about, but like the Mavericks have so much star power now.
They do.
That if they win, I just don't know if the coach can get the credit for that. You know what I mean? Like, I think generally Coach of the Year goes for a coach of a team that like overachieves.
Because low key, I thought Joe Mazzulla was the Coach of the Year this past year in the NBA.
I mean, the Celtics were.
He was my
good,
third place voter.
Yeah, but like now that
third place.
Yeah. But this combination of expectation, but then also like Luka is so good, Kyrie is so good, Klay Thompson, Hall of Famer, like. It's almost like you have too many good players to where.
But I almost feel like it's harder when you have all those expectations, all those stars, to get all those players to be able to achieve at the level that they're supposed to.
I agree, but we're talking about people that don't. We're talking about people that don't watch every game.
Yeah. I think Jason Kidd needs another year or two as a coach to reinvent his narrative as well.
Also, people
it's so narrative based.
People in the media clearly just don't like him. We just talked about earlier this week.
Yeah,
like 18th best coach. Like a lot of people are still like, yeah, Jason Kidd, he's an idiot. Like, well, why? I don't know. It's just because he was bad 15 years ago when I was aware of him. Now I just don't think about it anymore.
Yeah, he has flipped the narrative.
In Milwaukee.
Yeah, that's 10 years ago.
Put that up there.
Wow.
Ardell with the super chat.
Super
Throw that
chat.
up there.
Oh my God.
Throw that up there.
Oh my God.
From Ardell, Stanley Cup and Larry O'Brien are paraded in Dallas. That is his
Let's go.
bold prediction that the
Let's
Stars will win
go.
the Stanley Cup and the Mavericks will win.
Ardell, you are
the
the
NBA
first super chat on our Mavs
Shout
show.
out to you, Ardell.
Every super chat is going to be super chat presented by Ardell.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
So when you throw in, thank you, Tanner. When you throw in a super chat, we will read that chat. It will be posted up for us to be able to read, and you can also comment on it and like the super chat as well. And it helps us out here at DLLS Sports. So shout out to Ardell with the first ever super chat
And a multi-sport bold take.
And
too, which
multi-sport-
I think is
Also,
great.
I have
bold
one.
take.
I have one. Oh, it is a multi-sport. I totally missed the Stanley.
Yeah, the Stanley Cup part,
I have
yeah.
one idea. If you guys ever want to toss in a super chat, I don't care what money amount it starts with. You should end it with a 41 or a 77. Yeah.
I don't know if you can actually. I don't know.
Does it have to be an even number?
Yeah, I don't know.
Damn it. Well, if you can, I think that would be a good running
You should
bit.
try to find out
Oh,
exactly.
wow, yeah.
Yeah, $2.41.
Yeah, here we are just begging
$2.77.
for a dime.
We
and a-
want no.
I
I'm
just think
joking,
it'd be
I'm
very
joking.
funny. I think it's a good running bit.
That's a good bit.
That's a good.
You're right.
It is a good
Maybe
bit.
it's not doable.
It's a
Anyway.
good joke.
Anyway,
Well,
getting
shout
out
out
of
to
here.
you. By the way, guess how many likes we have in the on right now?
1,000,000.
41.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, wow.
That's the way
awesome.
we're gonna end our show today.
Wait.
What happened? What happened?
So we interviewed Dirk, and I texted this to you, Bobby. We had Dirk on the show last week, and I walked home afterwards, walked something. I got home, I grabbed some lunch on the way, ordered it, was given one of the little order number cards. What do you call those? Tints. And the number was 41.
Wow.
Like within 30 minutes, waited, grabbing some food, just got 41.
If that isn't proof that Dr. James Naismith is watching down on us from on high, then I mean, what more do you need, people?
And yes, you can select any amount, Cato, for super chat. So you can throw a 77 on there or a 41
Hell
for
yeah.
the amount that you want.
Shout out Ardell.
Shout out to Ardell. That'll do it for us here at DLLS Mavs. Thank you so much for watching us here on DLLS Sports here on YouTube. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports. Download the podcast as well. Give it a 5-star rating. Write a review for it while you're there. And we'll be back on Monday here on DLLS Sports. For Bobby, Tim, I'm Kevin. We'll talk to you later. Have a good weekend. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.